Namo Yumne Niji Wanda Juma Yana Wanda Wazan Jerry Wada Shazanima. The Waji Wanji Meju and the Velajo. Lana Mimana Minajinama. The Joja Yado Cheda Jesuchi. The boy Jinde Dijishi Wada Juma. Yanda Wada Wazan Jerry Wada Shazanima. Devashu. Shidiji Meju, the Hulajo, Lana. Other Minaji, the Masanji Jundin. Bejo was a jet of a large Jesuchi. The more Jundin, the Jiji one as a Mayandama. The Wada Jazuni Mandawaji was in Ejimage. Alayo Alama, the Masanji. Jundin, the Bejo was a jet of a large Jesuchi. Imagine any one of Mayana on the Western Manashas and Dima. The Waji was it is major what the College of Alanami. The was a judge and the major was a jet of all and Chazella. Choto Jesuchi. Kazaganya to Wajadan, Sajadan, and Commander Manish Dennis. Adela, Nana, Maja, and Sosa, Jesus was in General. Watching you lunch as a mountain, the madam and the desert of the was a magic, making judgment. What the judge and bound the judge and the nine days of the decision, I chose the judge or giving his own. Rather than the airline and the Lavadala, when the singing the May in the Jikidilla. Sanjay Zola Chazalo, Joachim Chazan, Indian Chazan. Chaja was and Jella Shindu and Dubai and Shudi. Sanjay and the other Sanjay the Maya, Gomara, Mila, Jumasu, Wachawa, Milan. Jeshina did others and the Jesse way, Gomashi, but another child. But another child of the civil to show.
A star, a visual aberration, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all seeing, subdue the four faults and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness and death. Page 15, Heart of Perfection of Wisdom Sutra. I prostrate to the Arya Triple Gem. Thus the together with the absorbed in the concentration on the catalyst also at that time the Bodhisattva Master Avalokiteshvara unified the very practices of the path perfection of wisdom and beheld those five attributes also as inherent nature. Then through the power of Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this was Bodhisattva Master Avalokiteshvara. Kashadevi, son of the lineage train of Vishnu, accepted that perfection of wisdom. He said that when the Bodhisattva Master said this, the Venerable Shariputra, Shariputra, son of the lineage of the village, who wishes to practice the activities of the path perfection of wisdom, should look upon it like this. Reckoning repeatedly those five attributes also as inherent nature, or sentient entities as form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, composition, practice, and process of entities. Shariputra, likewise, all form are emptiness. Without characteristics, are emptiness. discrimination. No competition of practice, no competition. I, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no odor, no taste, no object of touch, and no phenomena. There is no I element and so on, contradictory, no mind element, and no mental consciousness element. There is no difference, no distinction of ignorance, and so on, not living, including no aging and death, and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there is no suffering, no decay, cessation, and harm. There is no result, wisdom, no attainment, and also no bodiless wisdom. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, the bodhisattva is reliant on the 12th perfection of wisdom, the mind without obscuration, without fear. Having completely passed beyond error, they reach the end point of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the three times also manifestly completely awaken to unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment in reliance on the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra equal to the unequal, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering should be known as the truth, since it is not false. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is declared, Tayata, Gate, Gate, Paragate, Parasamgate, Bodhisoha. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva should train in the profound perfection of wisdom like that. Then the Bhagavan arose from that concentration and commended the Bodhisattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, saying, well said, son of the lineage. It is like that, it is like that. One should practice a profound perfection of wisdom, just as you have indicated. Even the Tathagatas rejoiced. The Bhagavan, having thus spoken, the Venerable Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, those surrounding in their entirety along with the world of gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, were overjoyed and highly praised. That's spoken by the Bhagavan. Page 25 for the short mandala.
Sanje shinde mide wa ye rogo namda shenla chenanje joga gala jenze dende ne cheda sambe duje tsim saje chuji chawa abdu su da gwara rane mende la kanye sanje jodan soji jonan janjo bada dani jasa Saki chuchen jive sanam je dola benje sanje dobrai sanje chedan soji shanam la chanjo bado dani jasa Saki chuchen jive sanam je dola benje sanje dobrai sanje chedan soji shanam la chanjo bado dani jasa Saki chuchen jive sanam je dola benje sanje dobrai Kange denjen dewa zhong, gowa mewa jemewa, chewa mewa damewa, uwa mewa damewa. Tade de me de jeme, dewa niji jidema, zobe sanje mananji, damba de la chazela. Tunye nyenje sande jebe la, chiche sinze kanche dende kwa, chana bema dende jazola. So de zo jende lunda sho, panden zewe la marambo chen, dagi nyingara. Pende de jeme, kade jeme kone je sande, kuzandu chungu do ze do so. Adanza kom kulongi kom ya wochir wata lamrim tiring lamrim tuji chunga di pe kewa samgo re ta di ji ranji go thanda mayimba simji shenla pemba doya chi ane sanji kumba nyu di top te chi di ane lamju jila wala ane shego la di tugu yoy ten a kulong di chanju simji kulong ya wochik sedashu asra.
We should now correct our intention, thinking that one has the fortune to listen to this LamRim, and in that context, one is not listening just for oneself, but for the benefit of all sentient beings, in order to benefit them to quickly attain to the state of a Buddha. In order to obtain to that state of a complete and perfect Buddha, one needs to know the LamRim, how to actualize it. In order to know it, one has to first hear it. So listening to the LamRim with that motivation.
Hoi, da gawa gom ra tirin. Nya LamRim gi tole ya jik thoba chi gi chungwa de. Da one ge ko bi ya wo re ro ko ga be. Ana zo LamRim yang ja chi da gi chungwa de tu da de na la yang ja. Gyawa sang bu yin ten ro. Gawa gom.
Now we should rejoice, thinking it is a good opportunity. Again, we have the opportunity to hear the LamRim this week. Rejoice in that.
Hoi, da. Kizing anzo, dang anzo tiri. Yoni, karso re da, le, shina le. Yoni, le ya le. Da le, yawa mungu shiojiri. Mikse da, migiwa ju. Migiwa ju da, gyawa ju sa, da di yongda rao jiri. Di na le, da nga ranzo. Tujun nima nime na la, da di na la kora jabdugu yore. Migiwa ju da, gyawa ju na la rwa. Di, da lu ji, namba sum nga ji shidi kizing tuwa che. Da yi ji, sumdi kizing oma jik robzi shiori di le. Da danda shi samba jawa taduk ti ma. Shu sha na rwa, ni pechin sebu cha rwa. Mikse, sembi le, rwa, sembe le sa na. Semba di gune lambe lunga ka le shiwe na, tanda semgi le rwa. Semgi le sa ya di, tuzu jokpo shibuji na la sa rwa yuwa da. Anzo ngoyo sin ya di pe kakwa. Nga ranzo tata rikdi yoyo tenpa ina semdi ka man rikdi yoji sogo yorda. Chezan dildes kechenpo re sin.
So now we have been looking at a karma, a behavioral cause and effect, of which there are so many divisions and types, but essentially we've been looking at virtues or the non-virtuous karmas, of which are 10 paths of action that we tend to go around every day doing. And we've looked at 3 physical, 4 verbal, and now 3 mental. We've also looked at the fact that they have a basis, intention, performance, and completion around them. And really, it is this factor of intention that is important, isn't it? The kind of thought process, the mental volition that fuels the physical and verbal actions, because these intended karmas are mentally so fast that we do. every day. For example, we might be feeling okay and then suddenly, due to thought or whatever, we're upset. In that sense, this level of karma, of intended mental things, is difficult to recognize.
다 납심 좋아 납심 이기래 숨 나는 납심 뉴스는 록다 납심 세야돼 니 시삼바 저와 다둑스체로와 다 시라 니 신기 노당 요제 와 시디 신 미신기 노당 요제 저저 시리로와
Okay, so now we are looking at the three non-virtues of mind, which the first of which is covetousness. And the basis, the first thing to examine is the basis of it, which is the wealth or possessions of another. No.
다시 삼바들라 두시다 뇨몬당 꿀론 신 숨레게 열바 시 삼바선 니바 삼바들 두시 세야돼 시들 두시 와스디다 잘라로 미신다지 아니 다 코랑게 잘라든데 뭐베 아이폰 중니스토스 딩알라 코서레스 딜라 두시가 잘라디 아이폰 두시 뇨몬데 두숨 가로 와 되자시랑 콘도다 되자고 군이 라인 거로 잘라고 해라로 아니 세당기 콘도 군란이 신지 잘라 줘야 된대 용거로 안 티무미 시베 온거디 용거요래 다시 군론데 뇨몬데라 뇨몬 두숨가다 가는 용거요래 군론들라 네 다기 차와돼 왔다 항아디 고도 삼야 다가나래
That covetousness, then we talked about the basis, and then being another's wealth, and secondly, the attitude has these different parts, the first of which is when you clearly discriminate what you covet. So, for example, someone else has an iPhone 12 and you want one too. That would be the type of, you've clearly discerned or discriminated that it is an iPhone 12 that you want. And that mind that goes together with wanting it could be any of the three afflicted mental states of desirous attachment. You might want it out of desire, you might want it out of hatred, or want to snatch it, or out of ignorance. And the motivation is just that you want it, isn't it? Quite simply. May it become mine.
저는데 굴론디 말로 건드여 삼바들와 고 두바들와 다 조월 가레스 다 삼바들라 좀바 다 다디 셈라다 잘라라다 셈니 텐데와들라네 다 삼베 텐데라 좀바 조바 치워와 어디 컨데스라고도 스와 안 다도들라 다디 나 다디 잘라디 미디 잘라디 나 다고 제기 있다 가르치는 제스로 셈나네 타제스나나 아니 낙심 글레다 조사르다 다 대체산 셈나 남산 룹사서 돼
Now then, of course you have the motive that you want such a thing, and then the performance is, you're thinking about whatever means you're going to use to get it. And then the culmination or completion is, I'm going to get it, And basically, because what's going on here is mental, it happens so fast, isn't it?
어디 낙심디 대단다 셈네 타제요다가 차차도
So we should be clear that the culmination is when the mind has clearly decided, I'm going to get it.
다 디젤 아니 신데 다 아니 나다 루지레 타는 거래로 당부 이질레 낙심 줍사로 안데네 다 밀럭기지시 컨데스 구구도 컨데스 포구도 아니 되네 류가게 차와디 신디다 레용고요라
Yeah, so here the mental karma of covetousness has been created, but lastly the body and speech, the physical and verbal come into play. So you might connive with others about how you're going to get it, talk to them and so forth. No.
다디 시딜라다 노르다 롱주다 여와단 담면데 여러 세상에서 대중초시 해야 된다. 야부쇼도 대중초시는 아니야.
맨날 얘네 체면도 삼는 거는 봐. 다 대 약슈도 낙심 맞이야라 탑시야시도 뒤중초시에 채우다 봐.
And then, you know, these other factors that you want others' wealth, or you long for it, or you're envious about it, whatever. But the point is, the best method as a countermeasure to covetousness is wanting less or being content.
아니 치워 믿어가는 게 집에지 타지고 숨나 집에지 최면도 강연님에 변세하죠 봐.
Yes.
롱주 아니 코르 아니 봐. 루 수수 타시하는 수수 류게 편도 말. 아니 롱주게 편도 말데다 미신 롱주 고야 그 되바디. 다 집에서는 편도 말다 가르쳐 그래서 아니 삼로 맞이야라. 니 편도에도 와라.
Another method to reduce covetousness is to understand the third of the three roots of the death meditation, that at the time of death, the only thing that matters is dharmic insights. Wealth is of no benefit, retinue is of no benefit, nor even the body. Well, of course, here, when one dies, you don't want to be grasping at wealth, so that reduces coveting others' wealth.
다드네 누심로 시 삼바디시 네 시삼바 저와 타도 그냥 연구하라 누심로 와.
Then there is this mind of harmful intent, malice or ill will, which also has basis, perception, action and completion.
다디 단다 누심지 시들라 아니 직접 지도하시는 인송으로 다 그런 시 삼바뉴모데 시데 네 바로볼라다 바로볼 네바 바로보지 샤워와 아니 두시 들라 뉴모다 단다 디게 차단 요랬다 마와 되바 당 아니 네바 되바 당 아니 뉴모 두숨체 아니 그런데라 아니 대볼라서가 되바 봐 쇠바 되바 다 고론라 뉴싱게 실이야 바로볼라 슈바 되바 세바 되바 찡바 되바 바로보 마팀바 소바 되바다 즉 바로보지 바로보디 아니 들라지 강에 마루 즉 규마체와지 중나지 마루 그냥 셈나네 다데 아니 뉴심데게 뉴심데 배낭도 다 직주 마야당 소제야당 다 고모고에도 들래 저디 직주게 다 직주게 가도고 용당당 다오도 직주 말레고라 뉴심 레고레 소저도 말레고라 뉴심데 레고라 당부 이라 레드 뉴심게 레드 두고요다.
The basis, perception, and afflictions are the same as the case of offensive speech. So the motivation, the afflictions. So the motivation is to do things such as to strike others, thinking how great it would be if they were killed, bound, or hurt, their resources ruined, whatever. And then the performance is when you have the thought. What's being said here is that the harmful intent often comes before the harsh speech or the stealing or the killing, isn't it? Anger.
다 꿀론디 어디지? 아니 저와라 삼바데당 삼바데당 삼바델라 조로 쳐버려. 수 삼바델라 셈도 파 조와 쳐. 타둑디 다 슈발라서 녀와 심간은 타죠. 땅아 미딜 슈기 미딜 콘도 너버지 미디 아니냐 직 타마로워지는 마찬바 속이 있어. 다 셈나네. 단도 르당 아게 남주 통하여 말 셈나네 타제거든. 땅아 딜 너버지 있다. 로디겐 애니신이 양 룽아가 저 대한 거라라.
Now the performance is having that thought. When you have that thought, you know, may they be harmed by whatever means. The culmination or completion is when you make the clear decision to do so. So you've decided clearly to harm other, and yet the body and speech are not involved. But once the clear decision is made, they could follow soon after.
다디 뒤에 먼저 곰자니 곰잡지 수스심라 다니지나 디바로로 투주 요래라 투주를 무시다 요래 아니 다예 다 야고면도 다 당한 삼로디 단규면도 와 아니 다 디네가 두비나
니 룽아기 직 직독자 마야 저 까도 그래로 다고 마자니지나 아니 뉴심다 직습도 님도 연구에 서치래로 스밀 직도자 시도 바로 누구여로 그
네.
님도라 디다 님도라 요에 서치도 미망버지게 예 뭐지 컨트롤 지도면도 라고도 가르스나 직디 다 가르스나 딩이랑에 직도마야 디 타제 차로 디 대단 직도마야니 그 두수 직보다워지 문진치고요. 건적으로 제가 컨트롤 준 지도에 말 가서 셈나네 타제자를 안에 그 시기요래 아니다 컨트롤 지도에 말하다 알아서다 곰잡되니자 또 따대나 두수요라고 바로라데 뭐 고마데지 당보 뉴심데지 안테네 아니 지 뉴심 제 차베지 람산 식도 통고 말아야 돼 바로라 양자 고 유림틱스 연구를 고 때스 투즈데스요 투즈데스요라 디가 돌랑아서 고급 신투베이나 아니 수수 틱틱도자 셰 까토르와 저한테 곰자야 돼 뒤용하는서 nga tanda di lagda jana zola da emotional watching siaj do ta tayaj do su chowa da taya lula taya ugla taya taje pa taje de du khari gu do dijil khari gu di kar khali taje de ta 당부 디케 좀 모셔래도 와 어디 다다한테 어디 중나 아니 뉴심 디까 톰나 아니 직접다 도저다 직 소재야다 도저다 라주 까용 거였다 봐
So therefore, for the meditator, with this non-virtue of harmful intent, there should be a correction process that takes place whereby you hold the thought before the physical or verbal karmas come in, physical or speech comes in. If not, if you're not familiar with that process of watching the emotion, for example, if you're not a meditator, you cannot control the emotion. So it's almost as if with the anger, the thought to harm and the harsh speech are happening at once, because the person in this case has already made up their mind, and in that level they can't control the emotions. So the speech and the harmful intent are almost together. But in our case, we should be meditating or working with it and taking time to recognize the harmful intent. If it is arising or you're starting to feel the ill at ease towards someone, not to act at once with harsh speech, but to stop it. This is why I often encourage us to watch mindfully the feelings, the body, and the breath, just to observe that process. And observing the process at first is very important. So, for example, if you can observe the harmful intent arising mentally, it won't get to that stage of physical and verbal knowledge.
어디 따디 디년볼랑 저 가르삼 당고래라나 디 디 깨지시나 야고도 네 가르스나 다 닝지다 잠바고미야 되래 닝지다 잠바고나 아니 바로 뉴스 제가 말아봐다 봐
It would be good for us to be reminded of an antidote if we do have thoughts of malice towards other, and that would be that we should think upon them with compassion and loving kindness.
어디지 다드네 록버다 와로 록다디다 시딜라 여바 지고 왔다 시딜라 여바시 록버다 다디네 삼바딜라니 두시다 뉴몽고론스 두시디 조와 구르바데베 튀는 덴버 두시오로 덴버 마잉게질 덴버 두시 말다 리베나 레준데 요마레스로 레준데 요로와 다단다 록다디 간주 투준 용다 그다 록다디 군 록다디 다 군딥 다오레 다페나 레준데 요나 요마레스 저 군조스미 요마레스 겨왕아지 요마레스 다 밑네 로 가시 점블링 심 밀러 싱 시대 요마레스 가시 인데 러기도 알아 심시대 요 말이죠. 다 가지는 된데 다 간다 어디 여바디 라 아니 매와 마와데와데 군딥체 데 군론데체 구바데와데 저와데 삼바데라 저와 짬바 다 구바데와라 삼바 베준 치야죠 삼바데 아니 다 다두디 아니 구왕스 데와데와 다 간다 괜진 베나 레준데 요 말레스 라비나 다 록다 디윤 록다 두슈데 레준데 매월 구바담니데 레준데 매와 타연데 아니 미디 냥가 전부를 간 중만중 지금 여러봐 다디 제장하는 체디가 체디 지고 삼단이 미드도 강에 망어도 와 예. 체디 지고 삼단이 미드도 샘게 부숙 도와 강에 망어도 와 녀다 차도 와 다디네 지 레준데 켈네 저 치마 삼단데 미디 부경 링하다데 강에다 경험에 강에 용거데 강에 연배이네 강에 동네 시단데 ჩვ는 대금면도 하고 와 강에 직버직자 여배이네 상단단 레준데 켈렌 체와당 켈렌 매원이 버르라 교와치 뭐 쇼도 하지단 다 록다디 냐가 전부 빼래로 빼냐가 전부래.
Next comes wrong views, which is an important mental infraction to be aware of with great danger. Here, the basis are existent objects, and one is taking an existent to be non-existent. So, of the first of attitude, then it would be an attitude that thinks cause and effect, behavioral cause and effect don't exist, or the three jewels, the three rare sublime ones do not exist, there's no past and future lives. So taking something that's valid and an existent thing and deprecating it, so thinking it doesn't exist. Or there are some people in the world that thinks, inner peace of mind is not possible. So the performance is when you actually think that, and can be any of the three poisons with that performance. And it's complete when you definitively decide that, for example, the worst one would be if you definitively decide there's no karma, no behavioral cause and effect, because then there's a danger that you can think, oh, well, I'll just do what I like. And we often see that with people that just totally fixate on this life alone. They tend to find themselves getting into more trouble. Whereas those who believe in the law of karma, behavioral cause and effect, have a vaster view of future lives. And even though the karma is ripening from past lives, they have a better understanding of it and how to take it into the path. So this point of wrong views is very important.
ade yawa kashi shado de shi xiao de ma ji xie xin ne wu ta de le shi si do ju dan de bu dan che ba dan yo je go ngo la ku de ba os ju lo ku ba ta de bu lo ku ba ta shi de ngo lo ku ba tang bo ju lo ku ba ta ba de lek bar che ba ta ni ba che wala so me do lek je ni je se ge wa yo ma re mi ge wa yo ma re sta wa ju gewa yo mare mi gewa yo mare da 가르잖아 tipshan resta insan new age da zo zure da
So this wrong views are qualified by 4 types. The first one is the cause, effect, and activity and causes, effects, activities, and existent entities. So let's take the example of wrong view in terms of causes. It would be that you think that there is no such thing on a causal level as virtue and non-virtue. And in that sense, because there's no good or negative actions, you can just do what you want. That is a danger. We could be slipping into some of the New Age views. This is prevalent, isn't it?
Yeah, so
if you've already deprecated the cause, then you're not going to accept the effect, are you? Because cause and effect.
university in university
some people think there's just something there, universe right there.
That this is a same ge. Another is same day. The chaos ya. Sim yage shodes ro. Sim sang. Sim yage shodes. Chaos gore ro. Chaos ya de. And sim yage sho. And sim sang mil ningji chamba. And so ba. Simbenche ya. Da do sim do. Tizula dene. And debu kare yungo dosana. ran jiwa, mi jiwa, shen jiwa, sangma jiwa yungudo 어디래요? 다 미게 와서도 이제 차도 ngaje 진심 tun중 계수 된데 망고요나 란진지도 숙청보요나 아니 라마지워와 데비디 라마지워 아니 셴마지워 라마지워요나 셴마지워요 레 임버레도 알아 수수심 충나 미베저 충도다 아니 제도에 미게베 데부스다 데다 개와다 미게월라야 돼 알아서 이마지고 처에나라다 데 여여브레다 베년다 레시베 탄다 but
well, there is that. This we should understand here in terms of causal misapprehensions of things, wrong views, because the mind is meant to be virtuous and going towards the positive, valid state. What are the virtues of mind? When you cultivate a concern for others, a kindness, a compassion, a love, or simply put, altruism. Then, in that case, on the effect level, you are happy, others are happy. Conversely, if the mind is cultivating invalid emotions or negative emotions such as jealousy, pride, competitiveness, then the result is going to be that self and others suffer, or you will hallucinate, and because of that, others around you will suffer. So.
다드네 디네 제발로 구바도 좀 사면데와도 준비 제발로 구바도 파다 마메도서 동게 자발로 구바도 직den가지 메도서로 직den베 자왕가지 두서 요 말했어 개월라 제와 구바도 심제 주디제베 심제도서 요 말했어 주디 로랑가나즈 다다 남과 흉내 좀 된데 송샤여 와 제네 시셰 송여로 안가즈 먼저 다지 전에도 주지 요래 그나 디 심진 디 주니 트니 지 준지로도 고 배는 단다 별도 봐 요단에 대 토마서 종무디 배와 차거든 그래서 종무라 좋아
알레 식디
직 당부 부인데 직도 하고 고치 예 주기를 아니 제일 고 배와 차도도 하고 아네 그 수부디 주어도도 먼저 미 통기라 주어도도 돼 별도 요래 중모스도 죽으는 거 찍체 차보다라 코 추기라 되네 코 돈데 배워차다 일단 주기세야 되라 준이게 와서도 아니 수급하지 준이로 그래서 좀 먼저 따제 전에 대단라 아니 지금 먼저 매도다 진짜 배나 다신기 겨워도 배만에 준이 겨워라 배만 준이 겨워라 다도서 하나 먼저 신경 말아봐 봐 수수 마시면 인자 요 말을라나 대엄데 딩사 딩두기 체력과 개방도서 빼야고도 콘저기 개방하지 캘린지 말했어 나 콘저 요 말이라고 말아 콘저 요 말이 제일라고 문다 요 매회 줌지 셰요 말아 콘저 봐 가르 줌지 가르쳐서나 네 토마선 라미시 셰요 말아 줌지 되미시 요 말다 나가 신경 문도 라미시 나가 마신보다 망보여봐 아니 되게 거봐 네 마신도 그 덤블링은 제가 가져요래 아니 제가 되게 요 말을 왜 신기해 알아 예 내가 막 세럴라야 세리버지도 그냥 나오지 오더라 저라 먼저 이거 받은 거라 그런 게 제가 때문에 그래 제가 오늘 그런 게 셈난에 라고요라 그 디요 말했다 저랑서 겨왕아지 쉐기도 왔어 겨왕아지 요 말했어 하는 거 좀 생각하랬어 봐 그래서 아 통도 야하고 문도 쓰러 지나다 그런 거 하먹고는 매고라다 그나 그래서나 겨왕아지 매 좀제랑 야하고 문들라라 아니 애가 가져 갈래 쟤나 저랑게 아니 녜게 별야로 별야 아니 nge lungba jing ming ji la ro nge chongba jing ming chongba de yo mare bes 와 언제 chongba jing ming ji yor ba an koran 가르세 디 저랑 신경 말했어 디 별로 열어 별로 코랑 마신 저 갖죠 열어 알레 저랑 수분하게 수분하게 셀든데 열어 저도 요 말해 저랑 신경 열어 네 딩도 체리 망보도 저 금전데 가르서나 요 말에 제 러그면도 와대 야고도 하고서 이나 캘링 지금 말해서 가서 먼저 산제 요 캘링도 말해서 이나 가서 산제 요 말해서 가서 라고 말해서 가서 그래서 만차게 프로페서들 디켈렌치가 만차 로 수부 되기도 하고 그래서나 그래서 로 수부 그래서 로 수부 되기도 하고
Okay, so now this next type of denial would be with regards to the fruitions of behavioral cause and effect. So denying the result. The first one is with regards to planting and retaining seeds is thinking that there are no fathers and mothers. The second one, mistaken denial of the activities of going and coming, is thinking there are no former and future lives. And finally, mistaken denial of the activity of birth, thinking that living beings cannot have spontaneous birth. This one about miraculous or spontaneous birth by, there is birth, miraculous means, but also by heat. I've seen in Tibet. kisla thangbo di beba ma kombe kang la kha
뭐 중물라 그래 그죠 중물라 그래 불 왜디 고체 아니 슈구이미시요 말고 딜라 중물라 그래 추기를 망고요 디야가 안고 단도 그 당보 락반이 된 거다 디네 강반이 된 거다 안고 배워잖아
There's like an insect in Tibet that has a head and a tail, and then suddenly with moisture it turns into a frog. It turns into a frog. And then there are cases of suddenly when it meets the conditions of moisture, it turns into a frog. And then there are the cases of the lotus-born, those born from flowers where we don't see, touching in the Pure Lands. But we cannot see that, right? But there are scientists now, in terms of past lives, that just because they can't see the existence of past lives will not necessarily invalidate them straight away. They won't refute them out of reason. They'll keep open about it. Just like there are many countries in this world I do not know those countries, but it doesn't mean those countries are non-existent. Once we had a scientist come to Sarah, in the monastery where I was, and we used to have a playful debate. He was kind of half playing, half not, half serious. And he said, well, I don't believe past lives are there. And we would say, why not? And he would say, well, because you can't see them. That was his line of reasoning. So we would say, just because you can't see something doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. So, for example, we would say some names of villages in Tibet that he didn't know, and we would say, well, just because just because you don't know these villages doesn't mean they're non-existent. And even in your body, there are many cells that you don't know, but it doesn't mean those cells don't exist. Having said that, most scientists these days are intelligent, and they will go with the line of reasoning that just because you can't see something's existence doesn't prove its non-existence.
아니 다좀버 요 말이세요. 다 간다 여바데 매발라는 군디 록보다와 다 록다난 게 록다 도시디 랜데 매왔다와 딜 도시래다.
Okay, so then deprecating an existent entity would be to say, for example, that an arhat doesn't exist. But amongst all these types of wrong views, the worst is when you deprecate behavioral cause and result, or karma.
다드네 딜라 니와 레 지안 덴바시아디 단도 디 레지와 크레스는 디데시네 베나온조 미그와 주나네 소주게 레디다 지슈레 가서는 뭐스 바로베 소주라 누구여와 와 소주를 넣으러 와다 간다. 미거 주나네 소주 글래디 내 ngobechane le chiware ro.
So now we will look at within the varieties of karma. There are some that are weightier than others, some that are heavier. So from amongst the 10 non-virtues, killing is the heaviest.
다드네 녀모라 네지 콘도 녀모 콘도 타고요나 양디 300권에 죽tumbo 차로요 지버래야.
Now, amongst the afflictions, if the anger is very gross and coarse, that will correlate to the intent. So that will be strong.
세상 따디 두스 링르단도야래로. 거디 아니 시야 시코란라 시지바 베나 매 속주 지버직냐이나 미지세와당 근데 둔두세와다 미세는 미세와디 지워야래로.
Yes.
미세베나라야 미세바다 수수 파마세베이나 파마세베디 지워야다. 어딘데서다 시고란래야 야와 망고 쉬어져 연구도 하고라.
Now we can expand our thinking here. It's vast, isn't it? Because there are different weights according to the basis. For example, it would be of heavier karma to take the life of a human than an animal, and within humans it would be heavier yet to take the life of the parents than just any other human, and so forth.
시지워디제 다저네 시두시단 녀모지워디 녀모 숙치부정디지 조외지워디네 속주 제벌라 다 속주 조외지워디 바로발라야 독둑 착부단을 와 배는 조와 두부단 소제베 직보 임버 간실라 아니 전 갈래 좀 고 동해 먹고 연구로 하고 조와디를 와 조와래야 조 착습주소 먹고 연구로 하다 간다로 와.
Now, killing weighty due to performance is if one makes the person suffer for a long time and quite maliciously, torturing and so forth.
다드네 님부매베 지워서야 돼. 님부매베 지워서야 돼. 가서 딱 알아서 아니 돈바 잡아도 딱 안서 배랑 아즈러웨이나 걔는 돈바다인데 요래 전한솔라 게 돈바 요래 잔주심에 돈바 요래 가 돈바 요래 어디 돈바도 게데버디 아니 니마치 대와다 니마니 대와디 야 디버차요로 세상고 니마 샥돔치야로 샥돔치니 추샤체 님부도시 된 샥돔 제비나 아니 니마 장마차 아니 학과도 이겨 니마레레 이겨 뉴시사직도 마체고 땡고래 제체는 단달 학과도 nga domba peru yoro tiringchiina sanini na na shi na gene juruk charo yoro ko cheda ni nyushi zanjik dene tongala ne pega chesta de jomden de ju korana sunje onzo dozo da kemalena ya lokda charo yoro cheda de ta jomden de ge jesu doza de jomden de sungwa de kelen je yoro da ngoro cheda kelen chena ngara zo le pento yoro me shi 경제예요 말에 펜도 요래 아니 이게 뉴시 zanjik 융다 대비나 아니 대 니마레레 샥돔 제빈 아니 니마찌 동안에 녀바데미시 요마라 다 니마찌샤 니샤 숨샤나 아니 되네 녀부 매베 집었어야 되는 다와 니마찌레 니마니디 집어 니마니레 둔다직 집어 둔다직레 니마쭈 집어 니마쭈레 다와직레 로직 다 두즈링어 링아디 아니 디버차 다 요레셔다 저 디바라 샥돔 치야다 개좀시오지레서
To perform an action also, such as killing, could be heavy with the absence of an antidote. So if the antidote is not there. So for example, particularly if you've taken vows, for example, myself as a bhikshu, or you who may have taken bodhicitta or tantric vows, if not purified. So because one will have taken, for example, tantric vows, if the action were to go without a countermeasure, that's why it is always encouraged, if you have taken the tantric commitments, to do the 100-syllable mantra 21 times each day, because we know that, for example, killing one day, if you leave it 1, 2, 3 days without that countermeasure, the karma will increase and then 8 and 16-fold as it goes up, commensurately, by commensurate each day. And this was something that Buddha said in Tantra, his advice. So if we were not to follow the advice of Buddha, that would be like a wrong view for us. And once we take that commitment to follow, we have to accept and do it, which is why it's important to do the Vajrasattva's every day, 21 recitations, because to be left, when it goes left, day, week, month, then you will have accumulated such non-virtue, for a year if you leave it without confession and purification.
인지적으로 accumulate 세다 multiply kewa kare. Accumulate peore.
Yeah. Multiplies in a yape. Accumulates in a sattva. So Gisela was asking, what's the difference between accumulate and multiply? So you can accumulate karma, but there's a multiplication thing which is different.
다디 시삼바 자단데 소주를 자원나시 아니 지글로엠다 준 참마 지중아제 다 상말라 두스체네 지양기 저와디 두스 소주라고 신스나나 신다디 제링도 단레스.
Yes, so one understands how an action such as killing can be weighty or not due to those things that we mentioned. You can apply it to the other 10 non-virtues similarly.
다 개워주디 당기 미거워주고 록조디게래 봐. 소미제바 주미셰바 로예미셰바 미체디게디 안 개워주래다.
Right, so now the opposite of those 10 non-virtues are 10 virtues which would be obviously the exact opposites. So instead of killing, you refrain from it. Instead of stealing, you refrain from stealing, and so forth.
다디네 레라야 남이 윤준주고네 얘나 여숨샤로와 남이 통주 윤주지래 제네 윤주지래 렌란신로 윤주지래 시제 베나 통주 윤주지래 시데 체딜라 레체베 데부디 체딜라 미기오다 다디 레디 레남이 윤주고네 레디 페드 슉첨보레와 체다가란라 아니 미드야 텐데 이러와 베나 다디 천자지요레다 지나 데서 다 베나 겨왕아마 미디 종간을 줘야 레춘이 제매우셰로 겨왕아마 안 체딜라다 미세비나 아니 그 미세비 레디 그 종간을 로로 야면은 그 가셔는 소지그로 되면은 종간을 로로 치자 종간을 로는 동인 쉬운 용거로다 종간 동인 용해야 돼 아니 체딜라 그런 미세버들 되네 아니 종간 동인 용어데 디 돈주 연주지 레레다데 로 딜레 돈주 연주지 레스디 겨와 수수 류된 다그란라 레서베 되우디 다그란 통구요래서 어디래다.
Now the fruitional effects of karma can ripen in 3 ways. The karma can be so strong that it can ripen in this very life, the subsequent life, or at some life in the future. In terms of the karma that fruits in this very life, it's strange. It could be like, an example could be that you kill someone in this life, and a direct result of that is that you are put into prison, and in prison you suffer a lot. So that karma of killing in this life, even though you haven't killed in a past life, is experienced in this very life.
다디네 제네 윤주스도 체딜라 아니 레체베 되우디 겨와 치말라 되우뇨야 되다 체딜라 레체베 되우 겨와 있는 미게와 카리나데 되우디 겨와 치말라 미야 저러와 딜레야네 제네 윤주지 레스 chen 딜라고 요러.
And then there is karma which is to be experienced in another birth. So whether you've done virtues or non-virtues, you experience it next life.
다디네 렌단실라 윤주스도 체딜라 레체베 되우디 겨와니 제네네 겨왕압자 동다 봄쳐 타지질라다 되우미도 저러 딜레야 렌단실라 윤주지 레스 어디실라고 그러다.
And then there is the karma that is created in this life, but is experienced in some future rebirth that could be as many as 500 away or whatever, kalpa.
다드네 레딜라야 첼 사고당 살 쳬버서 첼마 사고당 살마 쳬버서 제사니가 상was 근데 레 데부 지어 디직션에 야고 배낭서 레 제일 마사고 가르스는 알아서 모더단도 네 레곤다 부단 치단 dunde 차단 된데 제비 지우던데 동거 세고도 다들 소라 소주 레 제로 다 간다 이나 소주 레 싸요 뭐라 가서는 안솔레 지우센데 굴론 요 말에 대대선 안 베사스 튕겨요래다 딜레야다 전에 레 고란데 레디 소주 레디 제우담 레메디 딜레야지 아니 다둑 두야 요 말에 굴론 요 말에 두시 두다 두시다 뇨몬다 티무 몽베 다 된데 요 싱그로 굴론 요 말와 다둑 요 말와 제가 디디 레 소주 레 제브레 소주 레 사요 말 에스티
Then there are karmic actions. We can talk about those that are consciously done and accumulated, or those that are consciously done but not accumulated. So let's look at actions that are done but not accumulated. For example, we might drive a car and hit insects or a rabbit or whatever, but there's no full, even though the action is done of killing, there's no full accumulation because why? We haven't been motivated to kill those creatures we hit. And there's no completion in the sense that we've rejoiced in it. Okay, so the affliction is there. We're doing it out of unknowing or ignorance, but it is not really completely accumulated karma.
다드네 니 살마 쳬버세디 안간주 셈나네 다 디디 세고스로 너버 깨고스 미들라 칙두제 셰고 삼삼지여로 칙준이 셰요 말바 다 등기 낙싱기 레로 버지레 다디 레사기요레다 이나 레체요 말다
Now, what about the karma that's accumulated but not done? This would be when you think over a long period to kill someone or say something bad to them, but you don't actually do it. You don't actually do the action.
다 제사 니가 참아데 네 수수셈라 군노 요버체 아니 조와 딜레 센데 요버체 아니 다 베나 딩상하나서 미제 한딩 진예다 피싱 진예도 들라다 제사 니가 참을래 다디 디고 침보 빼래 어디르다
And both actions done and accumulated. So first here, this is having both, isn't it? So for example, if you're hunting or fishing or killing, you would both think about it, act it out and bring it to conclusion. So these are strong non-virtues because here the karma is consciously done and it's also accumulated.
or danzo di lamrin du den jik den shan mare
Yeah, we should now recite.
ya di jik lo na ya wo do sik di sambu shu do ra
The go sunan in Guzara.
na da ma go zu ta be tar jik lo shi dare
So now we'll probably recite through the text for tonight.
ya ya
I bowed my head.
yo lan di de ma je me di de na ya wo ya
I bow my head to you,
keep going
foremost of the Shakuras, whose body is formed by 10 million perfections, virtues, and excellence, whose speech fulfills the hopes of infinite transmigratory beings, whose mind perceives all objects of knowledge. I prostrate to Manjushri and Maitreya, whose emanations sport in innumerable universes, assuming the responsibility of all the conqueror's conduct. You are the supreme sons of the peerless teacher. I prostrate at the feet of Nagarjuna and Asanga, ornaments of the Jandapipa, throughout the 3 levels, who compose commentaries in accordance with the intention on the mother of the conquerors so hard to fathom. I bow to Dipamkara Atisha, holder of the treasury of instructions, that gathers together the important points completely and unmistakably of the paths of profound view and vast conduct, the excellent lineages descending from the 2 great charioteers. I prostrate respectfully to the spiritual teachers, eyes that see all the infinite scriptures,
Through the skillful means moved by compassion.
clarify the supreme entryway, the fortunate traveling to liberation. The stages of the path to enlightenment are the excellent lineage handed down in the Sangha, crown ornaments of the wise of Chandra people, and banners of fame splendid among transmigratory beings. This instruction, the King of Powerful Jewels, fulfills all desired aims of the 9 types of beings, is an ocean of glorious and excellent explanations, gathering the rivers of 1,000 fine scriptures. Through it, you can realize that all teachings are without contradiction, understand all the scriptures as instruction, easily find the intention of the conqueror, and be protected from the abyss of the very faulty conduct. Therefore, the supreme instruction is relied on by many fortunate ones, the wise beings of India and Tibet. What analytical person would not be captivated by the stages of the path of the 3 types of beings? The meaning of this method that gathers the essence of all scriptures, even teaching or hearing a single session, definitely gathers both waves of the assembled benefits of explaining or listening to the Holy Dharma. Rely correctly and relentlessly thought and action on the holy spiritual friend, the teacher of the path, and the foundation of perfectly bringing auspiciousness for the excellent collections of this and future lives. Having seen this, do not give them up even at the cost of your life, and please them with the offering, practicing just as they instruct. You, the perfect Guru, practiced in this way. I, who am seeking liberation, will also practice in this way. This body of leisure, more precious than a wish-fulfilling jewel, is found but once. Though difficult to obtain again, it finishes quickly as lightning in the sky. Having reflected in this way, realizing that all worldly activities are like inertia, you must take its essence day and night. You, the perfect Guru, practiced in this way. I, who am seeking liberation, will also practice in this way. Although there is no certainty that after death you will not be reborn in the bad migrations, the 3 rare sublime ones will definitely protect you from this fear. Therefore, steadfastly take refuge in them, and never degenerate their precepts. In addition, think well about the results of black and white actions, and depend on the correct practice of that to be adopted and that to be rejected. You, the perfect Guru, practiced in this way. I, who am seeking liberation, will also practice in this way. Until you attain a body with pure characteristics, you will not make progress in your practice of the supreme path. Train in the causes for becoming free of those impurities. Since your 3 doors are defiled by negative actions, downfalls, and stains, it is particularly important to purify karmic obscurations. Therefore, continuously cherish reliance on purification with the 4 forces. You, the perfect Guru, practiced in this way. I, who am seeking liberation, will also practice in this way. If you do not put effort into contemplating true sufferings of samsara, you will not develop the wish for liberation. If you do not contemplate true origins, the steps for entering samsara, you will not understand how to cut the roots of samsara. Therefore, rely on weariness, the emergence of samsara, and cherish the knowledge of what binds you to samsara. You, the perfect Guru, practiced in this way. I, who am seeking liberation, will also practice in this way. The generation of the mind is the central place to promote the path, the base and support of the great waves of conduct, the philosopher's stone transforming all to collections, a treasure of merit, gathering infinite virtue. Having understood this, the heroic children of the conquerors maintain deeply the pledges of the precious supreme mind. You, the perfect Guru, practiced in this way. I, who am seeking liberation, will also practice in this way. Generosity is a wish-fulfilling jewel, satisfying the hopes of the transmigratory beings. The supreme weapon, not the liveliness, the activity of the children of the conquerors that strengthens courage without dismay, and the basis of being renowned in the 10 directions. Having understood this, the wise rely on the excellent path of giving away their bodies, possessions, and virtue. You, the perfect Guru, practice in this way. I, who am seeking liberation, will also practice in this way. Morality is water cleansing the stain of faulty behavior. Moonlight dispelling the hot torment of the afflictions. Suspended is Mount Meru in the midst of the 9 types of beings. It gathers all transmigratory beings with no threat of force. Having understood this, holy beings, God morality, be taken as they do to me. Practice in this way, I who am seeking liberation will also practice in this way. Patience is the finest ornament of the powerful, the supreme of all hardships, counteracting the torment of the afflictions, a Garuda against the enemy, the snake of hatred. Cultivate the armor, patience in many ways. You, the perfect Guru, practiced in this way. I, who am seeking liberation, when you don armor like heather, steady and immovable, the qualities of scripture and realization will increase like a waxing moon. Meaningful. Actions undertaken will be accomplished as desired. Having understood this, the conqueror's children put forth billowing waves of effort and laziness. Guru practiced in this way. I, who am seeking liberation, will also practice in this way. Concentration is a king ruling the mind. When placed, it is immovable as Mount Meru. When sent forth, it engages all virtuous objects. It induces the great bliss of the service of the body and mind. Please rely continuously on the meditative stabilization that destroys the enemy of distraction. You, the perfect Guru, I who am seeking liberation, will also practice in this way. Wisdom is an eye, seeing profound thusness, the path of eradicating the root of existence, a treasury of qualities praised in all its riches, and renowned as supreme of lamps dispelling the darkness of ignorance. Having understood this, the wise who desire liberation generate the path with much effort. You, the perfect Guru, practiced in this way. I who am seeking liberation will also practice in this way. One-pointed concentration alone is not considered to be able to cut the roots of samsara. Wisdom separated from the path of karma abiding will not avert the afflictions, how much you analyze. Having mounted the wisdom that reflects on the real mode of existence, upon the horse of steadfast karma abiding, with the sharp weapon of logic of the middle way free of extremes, destroy all fabrications grasping at extremes. With vast wisdom analyzing in this way, increase the wisdom that realizes us. You, the perfect Guru, practiced in this way. I, who am seeking liberation, will also practice in this way. The meditative stabilization achieved by one-pointed meditation is not enough. With the individual investigation of proper analysis, generate the meditative stabilization that abides firm and immovable on the mode of existence. Having seen this, understand how wonderful are those who endeavor to accomplish the union of calm abiding and special insight. You, the perfect Guru, practiced in this way. I, who am seeking liberation, will also practice in this way. In meditative equipoise, emptiness is like space. In post-meditation, emptiness is like an illusion. Through meditation on both method and wisdom are unified, whereby the perfect conduct of the conqueror's children is praised. Having realized this, the tradition of those of good fortune is not satisfied by either path alone. You, the perfect Guru, practiced in this way. I, who am seeking liberation, will also practice in this way. Having generated the common path necessary for the two supreme Mahayana paths, causal and resultant, rely on the protector of the skillful master and enter the great ocean of the classes of Tantra. Then, through reliance on complete and perfect instructions, make the attainment of your leisures and endowments meaningful. You, the perfect Guru, practiced in this way. I, who am seeking liberation, will also practice in this way. Due to the virtue of explaining in clear words the perfect, complete path realized conquerors, so as to familiarize my mind with it. May all transmigratory beings be parted from the excellent pure path. Guru practiced in this way. I, who am seeking liberation, will also practice in this way. Dedication, right? Page 31 for the short mandala.
Böje jönje medo dan re ra rin shi nin de jin ba de san ge shin de mi de Chogu namdan jin la chobar shu. Tenshin nanga tinle chochu jewa tang. Lo san tenpe tume sasam je. Tuwe munse dato ne jo che. Agore re ne mende la kanye yataya me. Kiwa di nyudu da lama sanje duji ji chowa chi nyama luwa di sala kawa shang ju ju su jara mo je ma je ba na ju ji kiwa nyama me ma ya kunya suna di dan je se ba ye kuma shi ju ji ta ne ka da na shi be lo ru shi be lo ru 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 shi chi ji wa zong kai we chi de na wa pe wa na ge ji sa ma shi wa na chen ji ma le sa wa shi da da shi ju tu su na ju we san ji le ne we ya wa sha ja tu wa ye den ba yu ren ba ye da da shi ji tu su na ju we san ji le ne we ja wa lo dan da wa ye den ba yu ren ba ye Ah, yeah, just you don't know.
Savior of the Snowland teachings and transmigratory beings who makes extremely clear the path of unification of emptiness and compassion to the lotus of tending Gyatso I beseech. Wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. All the subdues moral way, who serves as the bountiful bearer of all, sustaining, preserving, and spreading Manjanath's victorious doctrine, their masterfully accomplishment with some prayers on the three jewels. Savoring myself and others, your disciples, please at one. By relying on the two accumulations of myself and others in the three times, may the teachings of the conqueror Losam Drakpa blaze for a long time.